We've been following breaking news all throughout the morning, but we do have another developing story that we're keeping an eye on. This coming in moments ago from our Fox 4 Dallas team. And I do want to remind you and say here, viewer discretion is advised as some of the details are disturbing. Now, we're hearing that two North Texas men have been indicted for an alleged scheme to sail to a foreign island, murder all the men there, and enslave the women and children. Again, this information here coming from court documents, as they say the men planned and trained for nearly a year. That's according to legal documents, in an attempt, they say, to fulfill their, quote, rape fantasies. Gavin Rivers Weissenberg, 21 years old of Allen, seen there on the left-hand side of your screen, and Tanner Christopher Thomas, 20 years old, have been indicted by a grand jury on counts of conspiracy to murder, maim, or kidnap in a foreign country and production of child pornography. The charges were given for the pair's extensive plans to travel to an island, which is part of the Republic of Haiti, to attempt a coup there. That's again according to the documents. Weisenberg and Thomas reportedly prepared from August 2024 to July 2025 to execute their plans, in which they allegedly intended to buy a boat, sail to that island, kill every man on the island, overtake it by force, and take the women and children as slaves.
Turning now to a disturbing federal indictment out of Texas. Two young men are accused of plotting a violent takeover of an island in Haiti, and prosecutors say part of that plan involved recruiting help from people right here in our nation's capital. News 4's Francis Casado breaks down how the homeless community here in D.C. is now tied to an alleged international murder plot.
Investigators first learned about this through online communication they say the men were having. According to a grand jury indictment, they were planning an armed attack on a Haitian island, and to build their so-called force, they plan to come here to D.C. and recruit members of the homeless population. The plot reads like something out of a movie, but prosecutors say 21-year-old Gavin Rivers Weissenberg and 20-year-old Tanner Christopher Thomas were serious. They are accused of planning a coup on a small island off Haiti's coast with about 87,000 residents. They've been charged with conspiracy to murder, maim, or kidnap in a foreign country. According to the indictment, they wanted to sail from the U.S. to Haiti, murder the men on the island, then make the women and children their sex slaves. It's a conspiracy federal investigators say they were planning for nearly a year. Court documents say the men researched weapons, tried learning Haitian Creole, and even sought military and first responder training. Prosecutors say Thomas changed his Air Force Station assignment to Joint Base Andrews in Maryland, specifically to be closer to D.C. and facilitate recruiting people experiencing homelessness. They allegedly believe they could pay them to join the armed invasion. Federal charges also extend beyond the invasion plot. The men are accused in a separate count of producing child pornography involving a minor known to investigators.
So for those of you that follow my channel, you guys know that we do not discuss red pill content. We definitely do not discuss black pill content. We don't talk about the Manosphere or anything like that. First of all, I'm not interested in it. Second of all, it's very toxic. That red pill stuff, definitely that black pill stuff, that stuff is very toxic. So that's why over here on this channel, you guys never hear me talk about it. Because it's not good. We need to just call it out for what it is. And I'm going to explain to you why. Now, these two gentlemen that we're going to be discussing today, they did an investigation on them. Because, you know, anytime you plot some type of crime or you commit some atrocity, they investigate you. They put your whole life under a microscope. They look at everything. They look at who you are associated with. They read your emails. They read your text messages. They check your social media. Okay, well, they checked these guys' social media, and guess what kind of content they were watching? Take a wild guess. What kind of content you think they were watching? Black pill content, red pill content. These guys were members of the Manosphere. Yeah. They watch red pill content. I'm sure well, mainly they say they watch black pill content, but usually the way it go when people watch black pill content, they watch red pill content too. That's what these guys were a part of. They were a part of the Manosphere. And just in general, when somebody watch black pill content, okay, you got these black pillars. Usually the YouTube algorithm serve them red pill content as well. So any red pill content creator, not only is he serving red pill viewers, but he's serving black pill viewers too. Because like I said, you can lump them all in the same, pretty much the same category. Really, they're all part of the same space. Whether it's black pill, red pill, whatever they want to call it, it's all the manosphere. That's what they call it. And it is a huge space. Not tens of thousands, not hundreds of thousands, but you have millions of people in this space. If you combine all these spaces, there's millions of men that actively participate in this space. So my next point, when you consume this red pill content or this black pill content, okay, let's say you interact with everyone, you interact with the content creator. There's a lot of people that you just don't know about. There's a lot of people that consume this content that you don't know exist. And I'm going to explain what I mean by that. This channel, for example, okay, when I started this channel a while back. There's been people watching this channel since day one, watching every single video that I don't know about. And it's the same way with any content creator. You only know the people that interact with you. You only know your commenters. That's the only way you know people. Everybody else, you're unaware of their existence. YouTube have billions of users, or I should say billions of people watch YouTube. Out of all those billions of people, they say only 10% actually comment. So that means the other 90%, you don't even know these people exist. See? So it's kind of like that in the manosphere. All right. You know the people that comment, you know the people that you interact with, but the rest of these guys, like the gentleman we're talking about in this video, the two guys that are going to commit this atrocity, you don't know about those guys because they never comment. See, they never interact. So a lot of these guys are just sitting somewhere in the background. They're at home, they're consuming this content, and you don't even know they exist. And that's how these guys were. They were actively involved in the black pill, red pill manosphere space, but they never interacted with anyone. And there are probably tens of thousands of guys just like this. That's the same way. So these guys being black pill, being red pill, and all this stuff, and the fact that they wanted to commit this atrocity, what does that tell us about them? Just the fact that they were so heavily into this black pill. Y'all already know what the black pill is about. I'm sure most of y'all know what the red pill is about too. And the fact that they wanted to carry out this terrible plan, what does that tell us about these dudes? One, they were frustrated with women. Okay, these guys were, I'm just going to call it like it is. These guys were sexually frustrated. Two, they had red pill rage. And three, they were just bitter towards female. They were bitter and hostile towards female. And that's what the red pill community does. The red pill, black pill, I don't know what else there is, but that's what these little communities do to men. These men are already frustrated with women. They're already sexually frustrated. They're already bitter. They consume all this content on YouTube, this manosphere content. All that content does is make these men more bitter. Now, I'm not saying it's happened to all men, but a lot of these guys that's been rejected ever since high school, like these two gentlemen, I guarantee you these guys were rejected ever since high school. Every female these guys approached, they got rejected. Even at work, okay? Not just in high school, but even in adulthood. If there was a chick that worked at the job with them and they showed interest and tried to talk to this chick, I guarantee you she rejected them. These guys got rejected. And I'm going to put a picture of them back on the screen. All right, look at this guy. Look at if this creep, for all you women that's watching this channel, if this creep approached you in public and he asked you for your number or he asked you out on a date, would you agree to it? No, you would not. Just looking at him. Okay, his demeanor. He act like a creep. He looked like a creep. If he just walked up to you in public and asked you for your number, would you give it to him? No, you would not. You would reject him. So this was a reality for these guys. I promise you it was. No guy that's even having just a little bit of success with women is going to try to carry out something like this. And these guys really were going to carry this out until they got caught. Now, some of you guys might actually watch red pill content. Some of you might watch black pill content. Some of you guys might actually be hardworking men. You put in an honest day's work. You're an all-around good guy. Okay, well, you're the exception. You're the exception. But just know, when you consume this content, and again, I'm going to put a picture of them on the screen. When you consume this content, just know that you're sharing a space with guys like this. You are sharing these spaces with guys like this. The guys that are bitter, guys that are sexually frustrated, guys that are very resentful, guys that have a tremendous disdain towards women. These are the guys you are sharing that space with. And as I mentioned earlier, you don't know about them because they never comment. Now, I'm sure there's guys that comment on these red pill spaces, these black pill spaces. They might say they just want to stay single, this and that. But the more extreme ones, like these guys here we're talking about, they don't say anything. They just be in the background consuming the content. They don't interact with no one. And you never know about them. You never know these guys exist. But they do exist. And the frightening thing is there's guys all among society that's like this, that have this same mentality, that will want to carry out this type of atrocity against women. And that brings me to my next point. Look who these guys wanted to target. We got to look at all the clues and piece all the clues together, because the media is not going to tell you like I'm telling you. They're not going to tell you the full story. They're not going to tell you like I'm telling you. They're not going to give you the full story or why they would want to do something like this. Look who these guys were targeting. They wanted to go to Haiti, to an island in Haiti. But look who they were targeting. What demographic of people were they targeting? Black women. I guarantee you in high school, these guys probably asked out black females. They couldn't get one. In adulthood, they tried to date a black female, tried to date a black girl, couldn't get one. Got rejected by every single one. Every single one rejected them for whatever reason. Maybe they knew they were creeps and just didn't like the way they looked, but for whatever reason, these guys got rejected by every black female. So they got together, came up with this plan, this stupid plan that wouldn't have worked anyway, to target black women and turn them into, I'm going to put it on the screen because I don't want to say it because you know how sensitive this platform is, but they want to target those black females and turn them into something. And they wanted to target the children too. See? And they wanted to off all the men. And they really wanted to carry this out. I'm going to explain later, but they were really going to carry this out. But if we look at the root of the issue, why did they want to do this? Because they weren't getting no females. It's just what it is. It's just what it is. It just comes a time where we got to be honest with all this stuff. These guys weren't getting no women. They were sexually frustrated. I'm telling you, he wanted a black female. That's what he wanted. Because you're not just gonna target a whole group of people. That's what he wanted, but he could never get that. So they came up with this extreme plan to just do something where they could potentially have access to thousands of black women. See, but that wouldn't have worked anyway. That was a horrible idea. But that's what this red pill stuff, this black pill stuff do to you. These guys are already defeated. They have this loser defeated mentality. They consume this content. The content makes it worse. It really does. That's why I say this content is very toxic. Because when this space first came out back in the day, it was more about improving yourself as a man, improving yourself, working out, looking good, earning money, all right, get into the bag, just pretty much elevating yourself. But over time, it just devolved. It devolved into what it is now. All these guys want to do is get on here and bash women all day long. They ain't gonna talk about themselves though, but they'll bash women. See, they'll bash women. All right, the whatever space, black pill, red pill, just the manosphere in general, and it's attracting these losers, like the guys we're talking about, like the two gentlemen we're talking about in this video. It attract these losers. They just overindulge in this content. They binge watch this content. Like the media said, these guys are just binge watching red pill and black pill content. And then they act out. Okay, they're already frustrated with women, but this content amplifies that frustration. And then these guys, they act out. Okay, they want to act out in violent ways towards women. And it's hypocrisy too. I meant to throw that in there as far as like the manosphere, the red pill and all this stuff. I said that it's toxic, but I meant to say that it's also very hypocritical. Because a lot of these guys, they claim they dislike women so much. All right, a lot of these guys, they claim they dislike women. But at the same time, they still want a woman. See? So it's hypocrisy. They claim they dislike women. They dislike how they act. They dislike just pretty much everything about women. One thing these guys are good at, okay, these manosphere guys, these black pill, red pill, one thing they're good at is telling you what they don't like about women. They tell you they don't like this, they don't like that. They don't want to deal with women, all this nonsense. But at the end of the day, all these guys want a woman. All right, believe that. All these guys want a woman. And that's why they're frustrated. At the end of the day, despite what they claim, despite what they get out here and say, they dislike this, they dislike that. They want to stay single the rest of. No, at the end of the day, these guys want a woman. That's why they're so angry. That's why they're so frustrated. That's why they're so bitter. We just gotta call a spade a spade. And this isn't difficult to figure out. And like I said, the news media, they're not gonna tell you that. They're not gonna tell you the way I'm telling you. And a lot of these content creators, they're not gonna tell you the way I'm telling you either. All right, these guys, they always they complain about women every chance they get. But at the end of the day, I guarantee you they all want one. Yeah. Yeah, they do. And when they can't get one, they become even more angry, more bitter. They turn to the manosphere because the manosphere provides some sort of comfort to them. You bash women all day, you call them derogatory names, and make these losers feel good about themselves. Yeah, that's how that works. Does the manosphere ever say anything positive about women? No, they do not. Very seldom. I'm just gonna say no, they don't, because if they do, they're gonna alienate most of their viewers because their viewers, they don't want to hear anything positive about women. They only want to hear negative things about women. That's how that works. So when they make this content, it's usually negative. It's very seldom positive because that's what the viewers want. They don't want anything positive. They want negative things about women. Like I said, if you get out here and bash women all day, you're gonna attract all these losers to your space because that's all they want to hear. It makes them feel good. Can't get a woman, can't get a female. All right, let's watch this content, listen to some other man bash a woman, and let's feel good about ourselves. That's the mentality. And I know some of these guys, they're not gonna like what I'm saying, but it's the goddamn truth. I don't give a shit what nobody say. What can they say about me? It's the goddamn truth. No one's gonna tell it like it is. It's just come a time where we gotta be honest. We gotta stop beating around the bush. We gotta stop trying to be so politically correct. We gotta stop sugarcoating everything and just tell it like it is. And that's what I'm doing. I'm telling it like it is. And another way the manosphere is hypocritical. Now, I meant to say earlier, when I say manosphere, think of manosphere, okay, think of that term as an umbrella. It's a big umbrella, this manosphere thing. And then under this huge umbrella, you have these spaces. I meant to explain this earlier, but manosphere is just a general term. So under this manosphere umbrella, you have PUAs, okay, pickup artists. You got that. As I mentioned, you got the black pill, you got the red pill, and there's a lot of other spaces too. It's a lot. It's a lot of different spaces. But manosphere is just a general term that applies to all these spaces. So whether you're a black pillar, you're still a member of the manosphere. If you're a part of the PUA community, the pickup artists, you're part of the manosphere. Red pill, you're part of the manosphere. Okay, all this stuff falls under the manosphere. So I meant to clarify that earlier in case some of you don't know. And you can even Google this. You Google this stuff, and Google will tell you how these spaces are. Google itself will say a lot of their ideologies are extreme and anti woman. See, Google will tell you. Just look it up. Google Manosphere. It's going to break it down, all the spaces that's in the Manosphere and how these guys think. And Google says their narrative in general is anti woman, and the black pillars are very extreme and nihilistic. And like I said, the black pill, out of all the manosphere, I'll venture to say the black pill is by far the most toxic. It's it's the worst. Once you reach the black pill, you're defeated, anti-woman, just anti, like the two guys that wanted to go to Haiti. They were black pillars. They were red pillars too, but they're primarily these black pillars. So that brings me to my next point. These guys are anti-woman, right? They're anti-woman, quote unquote. They dislike women. They dislike every fiber of a woman's being. They just, yeah, they claim they've thrown in the towel. They're done with dating. They don't like women, all this stuff. Okay, here's why it's hypocritical. What kind of content do these guys consume? When these guys watch this manosphere content, what is this content based on? It's based on women. Everything they watch is based on women. So they're sitting here saying they don't like women, all this, but yet and still, that's all they want to watch. It's stuff based on women. 99.9% of manosphere content some way involves women. That's all they talk about. See, they can't talk about anything else. They claim they're done with women. They don't want anything to do with women, but for some reason, they can't keep women out their mouth. Now, looking at the manosphere and the people that consume the content, if these guys actually had a woman, okay, these black pillars, whoever's in the manosphere, let's say, I'm just gonna say 100% of the manosphere. These guys had a woman, okay, a caring, loving woman. These guys get home from work. There's dinner on the table. She got the house clean. She looked nice. All this stuff. Do you really think these guys will still participate in the manosphere? Do you really think these guys will still be watching manosphere content? Will they still be red pillars? Will they still be black pillars if they had a woman like that that caters to them? No, they would not. If these guys had a woman, there would be no manosphere. There would be no manosphere if these guys had a woman, because they would be too busy loving on this woman, and the woman would be too busy loving on these guys. These guys would not have time to consume red pill content. Well, they would have time to consume it, but there would be no need to consume it. They would have no desire to watch any manosphere content if they had a woman that catered to them, that actually showed them kindness, that showed them love, respect. These guys had that. They would not consume any manosphere content. And again, you're not going to hear this from the manosphere because they want to sugarcoat everything. There will be no manosphere if these guys had a healthy relationship. And it doesn't have to be a woman that just caters to them. Just being in a healthy relationship in general, there will be no manosphere. Guaranteed. It will be non existent. Because again, they will be loving on this woman. That's why they're in the manosphere to begin with. Most of these guys. I understand some guys went through a bitter divorce or yeah, I don't want to say bitter breakup, but some guys went through a bitter divorce and they turned to the manosphere for comfort, but a lot of these guys never had a woman at all or just had very limited success with women. That's why they're in the manosphere. But if they had a woman that actually cared about them, that showed them a little bit of respect, kindness, these guys would not be watching that red pill content or whatever else is under that manosphere umbrella. They would not be consuming any content like that. And another way is hypocrisy. You know, they say they're out here ignoring women and all this stuff. Well, let's say one of these dudes at a gas station, right? He had a gas station filling up his car, and a fine sister walk up to him. She look good. She got nice skin. She got a beautiful smile. She got nice hair. She's probably 5'3", 115 pounds. Okay, she's probably a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10. The same dude that say he's done with women, he dislike women, if a fine sister walk up to him at the gas station, he gonna entertain that female. He's gonna try to talk to that. If she walk up to him and strike up the conversation, she makes the initial contact, he's gonna giggle in that girl's face. That's what he's gonna do. He's gonna entertain her. All of a sudden, all that manosphere nonsense is gonna go out the window. All the red pill stuff, all the black pill stuff, everything he's picked up in the manosphere is going to go out the window. If a cute chick like that, like I just described to you, approach him at the gas station, say hi or hello, and make contact with him. Hypocrisy, right? See, because these guys aren't used to getting female attention in the first place. So when that does happen, everything, all that loser, all this loser stuff from this manosphere out the window in an instant. It's gone. So who has the power at the end of the day? Who has the power, the man or the woman? The woman got the power. She got the power to make these guys do a complete data dump of everything they picked up in the manosphere. Yeah, that's how that works. That's how we gotta look at it. And it's true. 100% of these dudes, if they're at a gas station or anywhere, at the mall, all right, you got a baddie, just walk up to him. She bad from head to toe. She got thick legs. All right, she got a slim midsection. She got thick hips, nice legs. She walk up to one of these dudes, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. All right. All that loser stuff is out the window. But see, they're not getting this. So that's why they're so angry. That's why they're so upset. That's why they're in the manosphere. Because they're not getting that kind of female attention. They want it. Don't let them fool you. Deep down inside, they want it, but they ain't getting it. See, so that's why they're so ticked off. That's why some of them want to act out in violence, like the two knuckleheads we were talking about at the beginning of this video that wanted to go to Haiti. That's why some of them want to act out in violence. And, you know, another thing, these guys can come up with 1,000,001 things they dislike about women. They're good at that. They can come up with unlimited things that they dislike about women. All right, they say they don't like, let's use black women, for example. They always talk about black women's hair. They don't like when they wear a weave. I love weave. I think weave look great. But they say they dislike weave. They dislike the thick eyelashes. All right, what else? What else they say they don't like? They don't like when women wear makeup. Okay, if they feel as though women wear too much makeup. I think makeup, when done right, it looks nice. But they say they don't like a lot of makeup. They don't like this. They don't like that. BBLs. All right, that's a big one. They say they dislike when a girl get her body done and she get the BBLs. Like I said, it's so many things they complain about. They dislike this, they dislike that. All right, okay. You dislike that, huh? Well, I'm going to go back to the example I used earlier about the gas station. Let one of these dudes be at a gas station filling his car up. And the same type of chick he claimed he don't like, with the weave, with the BBL, with the long eyelashes, but she cute. All right, she's cute. She's in shape. She got a beautiful smile. She got positive energy. Let a female like that walk up to one of these idiots and watch how he react. He ain't gonna know how to act. He's not gonna know how to act. He's gonna be head over heels if a girl like that approached him in public and said hi or hello. He's gonna be smiling in her face. He's gonna have an ear to ear grin. All right. His eyes are gonna light up. It's gonna be like a kid on Christmas if a girl like that walked up to him and genuinely showed interest in him. So despite him claiming he disliked all this stuff about her, if a girl like that actually showed him attention, he's gonna entertain her each and every time, guaranteed, each and every time. All right. She got a fat ass. She got all this stuff. He's gonna think he hit the lotto. And again, he gonna go back to the Manosphere and brag to the Manosphere that he was at the gas station and some 10 out of 10 baddie walked up to him, started talking to him, and she gave him her number. See? All of a sudden, all that stuff goes out the window. That's how this works. All right. When they're not getting attention, yeah, they're gonna abide by this whole narrative, ignore women and all this stuff. They don't like this, they don't like that. But as soon as they get just a little, as soon as they get just a little bit, a little taste of female validation, a little taste of female validation, and a little taste of attention from a female, all that stuff is gone. All that stuff is gone. So, like I said earlier, who really has the power in all of this? The woman has the power, and there's no way around it. At the end of the day, the woman still has the power. She's going to win every time. And I know a lot of guys ain't going to like what I say. They're going to say I'm pandering. I'm telling the truth. I'm telling the truth. You're not going to hear this from the Manosphere, all right? They're not going to tell you like it is. I'm telling the truth. They say women are sensitive. Women can't handle the truth. No, dudes can't handle the truth. Dudes can't handle the truth. The way I'm talking, no, they don't want to hear this. If she got the power to turn the man away from the Manosphere, who has the power? Not him, she does. But let's get back on the topic of these two idiots that wanted to go over to Haiti and terrorize the women off all the men. Let's get back on that. They wanted a black woman. Okay, both of them. The media is not going to tell you this. That's why they wanted to go to Haiti, because he wanted a black chick. He wanted a black woman. He has a black girl fetish. I got a black girl fetish. I love black women. But it's a certain way to go about doing it. He wanted to go about it the wrong way. He got rejected by every black girl he talked to. So they came up with this idea to turn them all into, yeah, turn them into that and just use them as they wanted to use them. And they wanted to do the same. Unfortunately, they wanted to do the same thing to the children too. And they wanted to off all the men. Now, as far as the men, they wanted to get rid of all the masculine men. All the men that are masculine, the men that are strong figures, the men that can fight, the men that can protect the women. They wanted to get rid of all those dudes. But trust me, there's a group of men that they wanted to keep around. Okay, the effeminate men, the soft men. You know what I'm trying to say. There's a certain group of men they wanted to keep around. Okay, the not so masculine men, the feminine men. They wanted to keep those type of men around and use them in the same manner as they would use the women. But as far as all the masculine men, okay, the tough men, the men that can fight, the men that can fend for themselves, the men that can defend the women and children, they wanted to eliminate them out the equation. See, you don't got no masculine men around. You only got the effeminate men. Then you can have your way with all the women and get away with what you want to do. But they already know the masculine men ain't going to play that crap. They ain't going to allow that to happen. So that's why they wanted to get rid of all the masculine men. They just said, you know how the news media going to spin it. The news media was very vague about it. The news media just said they want to just get rid of all the men. Well, I'm going to tell you how it really was. They wanted to get rid of all the masculine men. Get rid of all the masculine men and you can keep some of the effeminate men, the men that don't really pose a threat. Okay, the men that's going to let you have your way with all the women and children. You don't gotta worry about the effeminate men because they're not gonna do nothing. They're just gonna be, yeah, they're just gonna be pretty much just like the women. You can have your way with these effeminate men and have your way with the women too. It's the masculine men that's the threat. You gotta get rid of the masculine men. And this dude, he even joined the military. I don't know how long he was in, but he joined the military to acquire some training to aid him in taking over this island. And I think he joined the Air Force. That was the wrong branch to join if you want to learn military tactics. I mean, they do teach you to an extent, but the type of military training I received, he joined the wrong branch. He should have went Marines or should have went Army. But that's besides the point. He joined the military to aid him in taking over this island. Them getting caught was the best thing that could have happened because being caught by the FBI protected them. Because if they really carried out this plan, they would not be here today. They would have been taken out in an instant. Not just by the men, but the women too. You really think those women are weak? No, those women aren't going to allow that. They're going to fight back. They're not going to allow that to happen. There might be a few losses, but by and large, those women are going to fight back. It's not just the men that's going to fight. The women are going to fight back too. That whole plan would have foiled. They went over there like that. They would have gotten barbecued. Literally. They would have been on a little rotisserie turning around getting barbecued. That's what would have happened to them. And I think that should have happened to them. They should have been allowed to go over there and try playing that crap and watch what happened to them. See? But that's the root of the issue. That's why they wanted to target black women, because they wanted one, couldn't get one, so they came up with this wild idea. And like I said earlier, the frightening thing about all this, there's thousands of guys right now in the Manosphere that will attempt to carry out the same type of thing. They got it in their mind, and they wouldn't mind carrying out something like that. Guys right now in the Manosphere that you don't know about, that you don't know exist, that want to carry out something like this. They never got their way with women. They become so angry with women, and they want to do something like this. And the news media say that this has some racism. It has a racist element to it. I don't think that's the case. I don't think there is any racism involved in this, because the news media, they always want to throw around racism, this and that, because they want to create division between people. All right. They want people to be angry with each other, and they always use racism to fuel that anger. Me personally, I mean, it could have been, maybe it wasn't, but I don't think there was any racist elements involved in it. I think, like I said before, they just had a black girl fetish and couldn't get one, so that made them angry, and they wanted to do something like this. I think that's all that was. I think that was the root of the issue. Yeah, but back to the red pill space though. It's creating these monsters. Because when they consume this content, it's not helping the cause. Don't think for a second that consuming this content is helping the cause. It's not. It's making these guys more bitter, more angry. It really is. That's all it's doing. It's just increasing their frustration against women. All right. Now, I know this video may have came off a little harsh. I know a lot of people are going to disagree with what I said, but that's cool. Just because somebody disagree with you doesn't mean you're incorrect. You know that, right? Just because somebody disagree with you doesn't mean you're wrong. That just means you said something that did not resonate well with them, and they lack the logic to comprehend what you said. That's really all that means. That doesn't mean you're incorrect. When I was in the 3rd grade, I told the other kids that Santa Claus wasn't real. Guess what? They all disagreed with me. Was I wrong? No, I was not. They just lacked the logic to comprehend what I was saying. Or they couldn't comprehend what I was saying. That's really all that was. Same thing in this instance. A lot of guys are simply in denial when you speak like this. That's really all it is. A lot of guys are in denial. But yeah, just know if you consume Manosphere content, I'm going to put a picture of these guys on the screen one more time. Okay, when you consume Manosphere content, you're sharing that space with guys like this. Guys that want to do things to children. Guys that want to be violent towards women. Guys that want to off other men. That's another thing. It's such a Manosphere All right, it's supposed to be a brotherhood, but these guys are talking about offing other men. They want to eliminate other masculine men. They want to get rid of them. I don't see no brotherhood in that. I don't see no brotherhood in that. And like I said, there's thousands, tens of thousands of guys in the manosphere that has this same mentality. You're sharing a space with guys like this. You do not know them because they do not interact. They do not engage. They're somewhere consuming this content and people are unaware of their existence, but they are out there. And here's proof. That's who you're sharing a space with. Predators that want to do things to children, boys and girls. Yeah, that's who's in the manosphere. Would I be in a space like that? I already knew it was bad, but this just exposed it. This just exposed it. Guys like this. Okay? And apparently they don't care about the brotherhood if they intended on getting rid of other men. You're supposed to be supporting other men, but they're talking about eliminating other men. That's what they were going to do. But I don't want to be a dead horse. I pretty much said all I had to say about this. It wouldn't if they carried this out. I showed you a picture of the Haitian women earlier in this video. That's what the Haitian girls look like. Okay, and I showed you a picture of the Haitian men. From what I observed, a lot of those men are in shape. Okay, they're in better shape than men in the United States. Them Texas boys didn't want that smoke. They did not want that smoke. Okay, if they brought that nonsense over there, talking about doing stuff to children, doing stuff, them Haitian men would have did something to those Texas boys. Okay, yeah, it wouldn't have ended well for them. So, like I said earlier, getting arrested, getting caught by the FBI, protected them. It protected them from their own stupidity. But let me know what y'all think about this. Let me know if you watch black pill content or if you watch red pill content. Um, do you still watch it or did you move on from that community because it's too toxic and it's too lame? Let's get some interaction going here. Let me know what you think about the two dudes wanting to go to Haiti. Do you think they were sexually frustrated and they want to act out their little grape fantasies against these women? Let me know what you think about this whole scenario. What these guys wanted to do, the black pill house toxic, the red pill house toxic, and just the manosphere in general. All right, let me know what you think. And I'm going to interact with you guys too. And for you females that watch, let me know what you think about this. I'll catch you on the next one.